Tony Robbins once said, "Who you spend time with is who you become." Change your life by consciously choosing to surround yourself with people with higher standards. This is the Producers Lounge Podcast, the best podcast online for tips and tricks on producing great film, television, and web content. Welcome back for Season 2, Episode 25, hosted and produced by GreaterAndGrander.com. On this week's episode, we're chatting with Danny McDermott, who has produced comedy series, live shows, and web content, including The Danny McDermott Show. We discuss hanging with the cast of Saturday Night Live, and probably the best foolproof method I've ever heard to produce a live event. If you have any questions or suggestions as you're listening, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the episode comments. Here now is my conversation with Danny McDermott.
I have been great. I just went to the premiere of Monstrous with Christina Ricci last night. I'm friends with the producers.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Was that in New York or LA?
That was in LA. At the
awesome.
Lemley in North Hollywood.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Did you get to meet Christina Ricci?
No, she wasn't there, but the producer, I'm friends with the producers. They were there.
Uh-huh.
And then there was a party afterwards, and I wound up, me and my girlfriend wound up staying at the mayor of Toluca Lake's house.
Wow. I didn't even know Toluca Lake had a mayor. That's cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a friend of ours.
Oh, awesome. Wow, you know a lot of people. You know these producers. You know the mayor of Toluca Lake. You get around.
Well, I learned, in the business, everybody they say they hate schmoozing. And I think most people, good people do. But what I learned really was that instead of thinking of it as schmoozing, you think of it as meeting good people. So in other words, when I go out to talk to someone, yeah, of course I'll talk to someone that I might be able to work with, or I might want to meet and work with, but I make it clear right away, I only surround myself with good human beings. And I think sincerity and, I don't care how powerful someone is. If they're a jerk or, I don't want to work with them. I don't need them. There's plenty of good people that I can work with. So, and I think if you have that mindset, it's very easy to get to know people, whether they're powerful or not.
And that becomes a challenge in and of itself, because there's a lot of people in the world. I won't even say Hollywood. I'll just say the world who are not good people, who are only looking out for themselves.
Well, those are the people I tend to just walk away from.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Albany, New York. Colony, actually, is the name of the town I grew up in.
Colony, you said?
Colony. Yeah, Colony. It's not pronounced colony, it's colony. It's a little subtle distinction, but colony. So you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Okay.
So you put the emphasis on "ni," so colony.
Colony. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And you said you were the fourth of 5 or 6 kids. Sounds like.
No, 4. There were 4 of us, 4 brothers.
Okay.
I was the oldest of the younger 2. My older brothers had a different mother. My father, she left my father, but she left him with my 2 older brothers, which back in the 60s, that was kind of crazy. The woman always got the kids back then, but for some reason, I guess I don't think she fought. I think she just left the boys with my father. And then my father married my mother and had me and my younger brother.
Okay. And when you were younger, growing up in upstate New York, what did you when did you first get interested in the entertainment industry?
It's funny. I didn't think about it when I was growing up. My father was always pushing me to be an engineer. And so I got excellent grades, and I was top of my class. I got in all the AP courses, and once I got to college is when I got into the entertainment. Actually, I saw this thing for an audition, this flyer, and I just said, "Oh, what the hell? I'll go down." I never acted in my life. I walked in the door, and as I'm walking in, I'm taking off my coat. They hand me a script and they say, "Read this." And I'm like, whoa, okay. And I read it and it was terrible, bro. I mean, I was awful. I was horrendous because I had no idea what I was doing. But then I sat there and I listened to these seasoned actors that had been at the school for, 3 years or 4 years. And these guys were in all the plays. I was getting my engineering degree,
Mm-hmm.
and I listened to them audition. And at the end of their auditions, I said to the director, I said, listen, can I do that again? Because I kind of got it. And then I read really well the second time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was clearly impressed, which was kind of cool. I saw the look on his face. He looked at me. He's got a big mustache, big glasses. He looks at me, he goes, okay, like that. So I was like, I knew I did good, but I was too young for the role. The other guys looked a lot older than me. And but the next one I auditioned for, I got the lead, and I got the lead in almost every play that at the school that I went out for. So I realized it was my calling when I did Death of the Salesman, and I played Biff, and it was Parents' Weekend, and it was just incredible. It was the flashback scene where I catch Willie cheating on my mother, and I fell to my knees and I'm crying and tears are coming out, coming down my cheeks because I had a rough relationship with my father my whole life. So it was easy for me to access those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Parents' Weekend, and there were parents and students, and they were all not just sniffling, they were sobbing. Like people were literally really crying hard. And that it just was amazing. I just realized that I have a gift for it, and I want to use it. So,
Wow, that's really powerful. And while we're on the topic, do you want to give a shout out to any theater instructors or anybody at the university back in the day
it was Alfred University, and
Mhm.
it was Frank was the geez, I don't remember his last name. It's been so long now. I don't want to date myself, but it's been many, many, many years. But Frank was the guy that the head of the theater department that really, really was a fan of mine. Um, it's funny because we were doing Raisin in the Sun, and I was playing Carl Lindner,
Mhm.
and I had like 24 credits hours of engineering. I was floundering. I was almost failing out, and because I was partying. Let's be honest. And I told Frank, I went into the office. I said, Frank, I just can't do it, man. I may fail if I got to focus on my grades. And he goes, just hold on a second. Just wait, hold on a second. And I go, well, I just wanted to tell you. He goes, no, wait. I just got to finish a couple things here. And he finishes up a couple things. He goes, let's walk outside. We go outside, and I'll never forget it. It had just rained, so there was like a sheen on the parking lot, and it was nighttime, and the lights were shining off the parking lot. And Frank looks at me, he goes, listen, I need you to play this role. I go, but Frank, I can't. He goes, listen, I'm begging you. You're the only one that can play this role, please.
Mhm.
And I think it was a very important play to him because it was the first Black director who had just joined the college. And it was obviously Raisin in the Sun, so he wanted it to be a beautiful play because he hired this woman. And I said, okay, Frank. I couldn't say no. How do you say no to that? you know and so I said okay, and I did it, and I passed my classes too. So there you go.
It's like that
But
old yeah,
where
it's
there's
like
a
that.
will, there's a way.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's like that old Italian adage, if you give a man a challenge, he'll rise to the occasion.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I was kind of forced into it, but I did it.
And then after you got your engineering degree, you went to New York City. Now, did you go to New York City with the intent of being an engineer or a comedian or an actor? Like what was the game plan?
Well, I,
Mm.
I loved acting, obviously.
Mhm.
That's all I wanted to do.
Mhm.
I worked as an engineer for a little bit before I went to New York City.
Mhm.
Uh, and then one day I just realized I wasn't happy, and I quit, and I just moved. and I had $455 in my account, and my rent was like 400. And so I got a job. Obviously I had roommates, but I had a job before I went down. So, I started working in a restaurant. It was funny because, it was just a terrible idea for a restaurant. It was horrible because it was right outside of Madison Square Garden, and he made it all like shishi and pink tablecloths, and you got to do a sports bar there. You know what I mean? But it was funny because when I was there, there was nobody in the restaurant, and we were all just making minimum wage for waiters, which was like, God, I don't even remember. And
$1.90 an hour or something.
Yeah, it was so. I think they gave us a little extra because they knew we weren't making money at first. But we were all standing around, and all of a sudden I see Bill Murray walking by outside. And so I go, guys, check it out. It's Bill Murray. And I'm screaming, I'm waving, I'm pointing out the window. Bill Murray saw me waving and pointing at him, and he runs up to the window, and he's with his son. And he looks at me, and he starts screaming and waving and pointing at me. He's like telling his son, look at it's him. It was hysterical. It was so, I love Bill Murray. I really do. That really just, I already loved him already, but that made me really love him. You know, it was so cool. It was so amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Everybody was laughing. It was hysterical.
And then as you're in New York, you're working this waiter's job. When did you start getting into like producing like comedy shows and handing out slots at the various venues in New York?
Well, what happened was I was doing I did a play on the Upper East Side, and we got a review, and I was not the lead. I was one of the two leads, but I was kind of more a supporting lead. Excuse me. And they wrote a great review of me out of all the actors in the play. And I know the lead was pretty upset about it, but I was thrilled, but no agents came. So, I decided to, I at the time, comedians and sketch comedians were, they were making it. They were getting all the work. And so I started doing sketch comedy. And I did very well at that. I had a great time with that. I met a lot of people that way. And I lucked out too, because I got a different job at Rockefeller Center at 30 Rock in the concourse at a coffee shop. And it was funny because I had no idea what 30 Rock was or anything. I didn't know that all the entertainment was in that building. I didn't know Saturday Night Live was there. And all of a sudden, I remember the first person I saw that I knew was Jane Pauley, the newscaster, the news anchor. And kids today don't even know her probably, but I think she's got a new show coming up. But anyway, so she walks in and she orders a coffee, and I'm putting in the order, and I look up and I go, Jane. Like I knew her. I was like, Jane. And she looks at me and she goes, yes. I got to say, the newscasters were really the nicest people. Tom Brokaw.
Oh, wow.
Tom Brokaw would come in all the time, and he goes, how's your career going, Danny? Like that. And I go, great, Tom. How's yours going? And he started laughing. He goes, pretty good. Katie Kirk was hysterical. She was so sweet. Giselle Fernandez, she was a weekend on the Today Show, I think. But Katie Kirk came in one day and she goes, listen, Danny, I'm going on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Do you have a headshot? I go, yeah, why? She goes, I'm going to put it in the bag that I give to Jay. And I said, wow, that's amazing. Sure.
Wow.
And she was so sweet. So was Giselle Fernandez. And they were always trying to help me out and hook me up. And, but Katie was, one day she came in when she was pregnant, and I go, Katie, how's it going? And it was packed. There was a ton of people waiting. and it was packed. I go, Katie, how you feeling? And she goes, knocked up. And everybody in the place just burst out laughing. They're like, did Katie Kurt just say she felt knocked up? It was really amazing. It was really amazing. But I met a lot of people there. I met a lot of people from Saturday Night Live came down. Michael McKean would come down all the time. And I'm trying to remember. I got to hang out on the set of Saturday Night Live all the time because one of the production guys came in, Bob Cesar. I'm sure he's retired by now, but he was a really amazing guy. And I got to be friends with him, and he'd bring me up to the set. And so I was on there. I met Jim Carrey up there. I met Courtney Cox, Sting.
And this is all just from being a waiter working at a coffee shop.
If you want to say the coolest people, Andy from Conan O'Brien, he was really cool. And I would go up and hang out in their offices actually. And he was great. Jim Carrey was super cool. It was funny because I talked to Bob about this. I was like, Bob, I got this script. And he goes, it's a great idea. Why don't you show it to Jim? And I'm like, really? Yeah, give it a shot. Like that, right? And so I stopped Jim and I go, hey, Jim. He turns around. Everybody's trying to rush him around because, I mean, dude, when they're rehearsing, I mean, they're moving. And Jim stopped, turned around and said, hey, man, how's it going? And just he was open to talking to me. I started talking to him a little bit. And then I go, hey, listen, I got this script idea. And I held up the paper to him and he goes, dude, you got to go through my agent, man. I'm sorry. And he walks away, but he was super cool. There was someone on SNL that I knew from the coffee shop. I'm not going to say who it is.
Right.
But I was pretty upset because I was on the set and I was hanging out there all the time. And I saw this person, not going to say who, talk to one of the pages and they're looking at me. Right. And I'm not causing any trouble. I'm just hanging out,
Right.
And the guy knows me from the coffee shop. We talked downstairs, I thought we were friendly. Right. And the page looks at me after talking to him and comes straight to me and goes, excuse me, who are you? And I go, I'm just, I work at the coffee shop downstairs. I come up and hang out on the set sometimes. He goes, do you belong here? And I go, well, I came with one of the production guys. He goes, really? Like he didn't believe me. And I go, yeah. He goes,
wow.
Who was that? Who brought you? And I said, Bob Cesar. He goes, Bob Cesar brought you. And I said, yeah. And he goes, all right, let's go talk to Bob. And I go, all right.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So we walk over to Bob and he's rigging something on the set. And the page looks at Bob and he goes, excuse me, Bob. And Bob turns around and goes, yeah, what? And he goes, this person says you brought him up here. And he goes, yeah, what's the problem? And the page's face turned beet red, so he was so embarrassed because Bob kind of yelled at him. He goes, yeah, what's the problem? And the kid goes, I'm so sorry. I'm very, very, very sorry. I'm really sorry. And he walked away. So this actor on SNL tried to get me kicked off, even though he knew me and he knew I was a nice guy.
That kind of tracks because what I've heard of SNL, especially in the 80s and 90s, is it was very much a competitive, like kill or be killed kind of place to work at.
Yeah, but most of the people were fine. I mean, there was one time where I accidentally got caught in this little tiny green room. And this was before Will Ferrell was famous. He was one of the he didn't really have lines or anything most of the time, but he was one of the regulars, but he didn't really do much. And he was sitting there and I think Chris Farley and David Spade were there and Lorne Michaels himself was there. And I mean, it was just the best of the best at that time. And I'm sitting there, I'm standing there and they're having a talk. they're having a meeting, and I don't know how I wound up in this tight, and literally the room is so small that Lauren's like 5 feet away from me. And as they're talking, I see Lauren look at me, looks right in my eyes, and I look back, and I just smiled, and then he looked, and then he just looked back and kept talking. He didn't kick me out. He didn't, you know. I thought for sure I was in trouble. I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna get kicked out. And after the meeting, I sat there and I talked to Will for a while. Really nice guy, really super nice guy. And it's funny because a lot of people don't know this. He has a brother who I think is actually a rocket scientist, but he was also trying out his hand at stand-up. And I was running rooms at the time. Well, not at that time. Later on, I met his brother and I booked his brother on my comedy show.
So you're working at this coffee shop, you're interacting with people from SNL. How do you get into running rooms?
Okay, so what happened was we had a really good sketch comedy group, and I would tell people about it from SNL and everybody, you know, whatever, and just let them know. Nobody would go, obviously, but we were pretty good. And in fact, this guy Joe Bonanno, real Italian dude, he worked for NBC Sports, and he edited one of my sketch comedy reels for me.
Oh wow!
He took me up to the editing room where they edit the sports, and he right there while he was working, he edited my thing for me, and you know, he thought I was really funny, so I got a lot of support from a lot of the people there. But the question was, when did I start running comedy rooms? Okay.
Yeah,
so
how did that happen? Yeah.
Okay. So this sketch group was great, but the problem was we were making money, but the woman who ran the group kept all the money and kept saying, "Oh, we spent all the money." And me and this girl, we were the main actors in the sketch group. And I talked to her about it, and she goes, she's full of it. She's keeping the money. And I go, I know. What are we going to do? She goes, let's start our own sketch group. So we left and we started our own sketch group. And by the way, this is something you want to learn. This is anybody who creates their own work. Learn this. If you don't learn anything else, if you see someone at the very beginning, when you start a group, if you see someone that doesn't respect you or doesn't jive with you, kick them out immediately. Cut, because they're a cancer that's going to grow and they're going to screw everything up. So what happened was we had this sketch group, and I was explaining everything. We wrote a bunch of sketches, and I was explaining everything. It was mostly me and her. Claudine Cafaro, she was so talented. Me and her wrote most of the sketches. And I remember talking to the group at one point, and I see one of the guys rolls his eyes at me, and I ignored it. Okay. I shouldn't have ignored it. I should have kicked him out right there. But what happened was I got us a gig at the comic strip where Eddie Murphy started, where Chris Rock started. The owner managed Eddie Murphy at the height of his career when he was doing Beverly Hills Cop and all that stuff. I got us an hour-long show, just our group, never having auditioned or anything. Okay. And when I announced it to the group, and this was like weeks later, this guy that rolled his eyes a month before goes, "Yeah, we don't think we're ready." I go, what do you mean we? First of all, look, we've got all the sketches written. We got a month to rehearse. And dude, this is a big opportunity, you know? And he goes, "Yeah, but we've been talking. I've been talking to other people in the group, and we feel like we just want to write more and rehearse more and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, maybe do a show in a few months." And can I swear on this?
Go for it.
Okay.
It's the internet. Yeah.
Claudine gets up and she goes, "You motherfucker." She goes, "Does everybody else agree?" And they kind of nodded their heads. And she goes, "You know what? Fuck you." And she's pointing at each person. She goes, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and fuck you." She goes, "You guys are idiots. You have no idea how talented Danny is." I shouldn't be saying it that way, but that's what she said. Right. And she goes, "Danny, fuck them. Let's do our own comedy duo. We'll rewrite all the sketches just for you and me, and we'll do the show." And we did.
And to give a little more context, like when an opportunity presents itself in Hollywood, in any branch of the entertainment industry, you can't guarantee that opportunity will still be there in 5 or 6 months. Things happen,
Exactly.
people change their mind, people fucking die or
Yep.
quit the industry entirely, and you lose that opportunity. You got to grab it while you can.
Exactly. You got to grab it while you can. So, we called ourselves PBTHT or whatever. And that's what we called our comedy duo. And we started doing shows. They loved us. We went back. We did a few shows there. We did shows at the New York Comedy Club, which was downtown at the time. We did Caroline's Comedy Club on Broadway. And
Wow.
it was funny because Louis Ferranda, who still, I think, books the celebrities there, he came up to me outside the club and he goes, Danny, listen, I hear you got a good comedy duo. I go, wow, thank you. That's great. He goes, yeah, think about doing more stuff for me. And I go, great. That's fantastic. Right. And I told Claudine, and God bless her, she kind of imploded. She didn't want to do our best sketches. She wanted to rewrite everything new. She didn't want to rehearse in the city. She wanted to rehearse way out on Long Island. And I think it was kind of a little bit of a fear of success. And so, it was just, we couldn't get it together. And so we stopped the comedy duo. And that's when I just realized she's amazing. And I wish her the best. And I hope she's doing everything she's always wanted to do, because she's so talented. I mean, she's like Ruth Buzzy was, or Gilda Radner. She could make herself look ugly or beautiful. And she just had such a range. But I just realized I can't count on other people. I've been screwed over so many times. I got to start doing stand-up. And so I started doing stand-up, and that's how I got into it. And I got sick of, doing bringer shows, which is where you have to bring your friends to do, at the clubs. And at one point I was like, you know what? I'm going to start my own comedy room. And I started one it was at the Underground Lounge on 108th and Broadway at the time. And I started passing out flyers on the street to get people in, and I started getting a real crowd. And comedians were looking for spots. I mean, I was one of the first people in the late 90s to start my own comedy room. And people would, comedians, I could get really good comedians, and, I couldn't afford to pay everyone, but I paid the headliner like $50 or whatever. And I charged a cover. And I to the newer comics, I didn't want them to have to bring their friends. So I gave them a bunch of flyers, and I said, 2 hours before the show up here, pass out the flyers, help me get people in the room, and then I'll give you a spot on the show with celebrities. And I had a good MC. I always made sure I had a good MC. And I made sure the lighting, the sound, I built the stage myself. The first, I went to bought lumber and actually measured it out and built the stage. And we became successful. I mean, it was the most popular comedy room in the city, I think, at the time. It was a lot of comics wanted to do, celebrities would just show up. Ellen Cleghorn from SNL showed up and asked me to go on. Adam Ferrara. I was booking Bill Burr, Sarah Silverman, Jim Gaffigan, Patrice O'Neill, Greg Giraldo, God rest their souls. I mean, Todd Barry, just so many great comedians. And before they were famous, most of them. And it just became a huge success. And I started running 2 or 3 other rooms. I had one at the Hammerstein Ballroom. I had one on the Lower East Side. Coyote Kate's, I think, was the name of. God, I've been trying to remember the name of that bar for years. That's the first time I've been able to Coyote Kate's. And then there was a Tex-Mex restaurant on the Upper West Side that I started running too. And it was incredible. And this is a crazy story that, a few people know. I don't think many of the newer comics realize it, but at that time, most of the comedy clubs were getting crowds from emails or from phone calls. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But I became so successful passing out flyers. I would be out there 4 hours before the show and an hour into the show, because if I didn't want to make them do it if I wasn't willing to do it and more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
leading by example.
Yeah, they couldn't complain. If you complain, if they go, oh God, I'm tired, my feet hurt, blah blah. I go, look, I've been here for 2 hours before you, and I'm going to be here an hour after you. So I don't want to hear any complaints. If you want to get on the show, you got to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend at the time and I decided to make a trip to LA. So I taught this one comedian to run my room. I'm not going to say who it is because I'm friends with him now. I was really upset at the time, but I taught him to run the room when I wasn't there, my rooms when I wasn't there. And when I went to LA, the Ha Ha Comedy Club, I'm friends with the owner now, but at the time, the Ha Ha Comedy Club stole him. And they started passing out flyers on the street in Times Square.
Oh.
And or was it the Ha Comedy Club? I'm trying to remember. Anyway, I think it was the Ha Ha. The one here is the Ha Ha, I think. Anyway, so they started passing out flyers, and because they were in Times Square, they became so successful at that. The guy I trained all their comedians to do it. And they were doing 6 shows a night. They had like 3 comedy rooms, and they were doing 6 shows. And then all of a sudden, the other comedy clubs saw how successful they were. And they started passing out flyers on the street. And then all the ticketing on the street, ticket teams and all that kind of stuff started. So it all kind of started from my little comedy room, you know?
Wow.
And, you know, and then Pete Holmes, you know, I'll give you an example. Pete Holmes used to pass out flyers for me.
Pete Holmes would hand out flyers for you. It really does like feel like just like you can't do that kind of direct hustle anymore. Now everything is about Facebook ads and this thing and that thing.
Nah, dude, grassroots is always the best way. Always the best way. I try to teach people that. You know, I mean, there's ways to do it online and stuff, but I mean, if you got money, yeah. If you got money to advertise, absolutely. Advertising is the best way, obviously. But if you have no money, grassroots, you know, text people. You know, there's ways to do it. And I can explain that in a second, but yeah, I had Pete Holmes passing out flyers. I had Christian Finnegan, Dimitri Martin was passing out flyers at one point. Ed Helms. Helms. Yeah, Ed Helms is an A-lister now. And he was passing out flyers. I'd be like, Ed, what are you doing on your phone? I go, that couple just walked by. He goes, yeah, but they look like they're on a date. I go, yeah, a date to go to a comedy show. But Ed was great though. When he got on the Daily Show, he would come back and still perform. I put him on the show, so my rooms would be packed because I tell people in the neighborhood Ed Helms is on the show, and they were like, "Oh my God!" And I think I made him headline for the first time he ever headlined. He goes, yeah, but he goes, Danny, I don't really have much material. I said, Ed, just get up there, do your jokes, and then just talk to him. And he did. And it was great. And everybody was happy, because one thing you got to learn when you're doing stand-up is the only time the audience is uncomfortable is when the comedian is uncomfortable. As long as you're not worried about it, you're not uncomfortable, they're like, okay, he's not funny, but he's cool, you know? So, but yeah, all those guys just pass out flyers for me. And now they're all famous, which is kind of crazy. Pete Holmes even he's got a show called Crashing, I think, where he does the whole thing about passing out flyers and stuff and to get on the shows. Wow. Pete, if you're listening to this, Pete, give me a role, man. You owe me.
So you're about to say if you got money as far as advertising, you would talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
There's a lot of if you want to pick my brain about live events, I mean, there's
yes, lay it on me. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I really should teach a class about it, to be honest with you.
And when you do start teaching that class, what website do you have that people can go to purchase tickets for that class?
Well, actually, I I am not producing currently. I stopped because of COVID, but I might start up again soon. I don't know. I might just do my one-man show again that I did. I did a one-man show off Broadway with 11 different characters in full costumes. I might just do that soon. A lot of people have been asking me to bring that back, but yeah, if you want to produce live events, here's how you do it. Pick a place where there's foot traffic if you can, and I always recommend passing out flyers because you can talk to people, you can sell them and get them to come back. You make the flyers double the price so that you say, oh, if you take this flyer, you get half off. You see what I'm saying? It's a little trick. It's just, but you pass out flyers at least 2 hours before the show, minimum, an hour into the show. But if you don't want to do it that way, you have everybody's got a list of people on their phone that they know in the area. What you need to do is you need to you send them, if you have their email, you email them a poster. You got to make a poster with everybody on the show. You email them the poster, or you text a picture of the poster to them. Okay, you do this a month before. Right? This is a method. Okay, you do it a month before, and then you got to ask them a question. Say, listen, do you think you might be able to make this show? It's going to be amazing, blah, blah, blah. Do it, keep it short. And if they say yes or no, it doesn't matter. 2 weeks later, check with them again and say, hey, I just wanted to remind you, I'm doing this show. And, oh, I got this other person on the show. If you can give them a little more information. And, oh, by the way, when you on the poster, make sure that the flyer says that if the show starts at 8:30, you say 8:00 show, because people are always late. Oh, yeah. Especially in California. In fact, I said to someone, LA is nothing like New York. New York, you set an appointment a month from now and they show up. LA, you set up the appointment a month in advance. Then 2 weeks later, you got to call them, say, hey, just want to remind you about the week before, then 2 days before, then the day of, and then they'll still be late because of traffic. But anyway, that's a method. A month, then 2 weeks, then 2 days. I'm sorry, a month, then 2 weeks, then the week before, then 3 days before, then the day before, and then the day of. That's how you do it. It's very simple. Set it on your calendar if you have to. That's how you, and what you do is when you get toward the end, you go, hey, how many people you're going to bring the week before? You say, hey, I was just wondering, can you bring people? How many people can you bring? They may or may not answer you. Then 2 days before, or 3 days before, I think, you say, okay, just checking in, making sure you're still coming. How many people you're bringing? And if they still don't answer it the day before, say, listen, I need a head count for the owner. We need to know how many people are coming. So how many people are you bringing tomorrow? And then the day of, you say, hey, I really appreciate you coming tonight. Just want to confirm how many people. And that's the way you do it. It's very simple. And it's not that pushy, really, as long as it's a text and you're just reminding them.
Right.
And that's how you fill the room. If you don't do that, if you just tell them and then expect them to show up, forget it. That's the method. It's a method, And as far as running a show, you got to make sure that the temperature of the room is a little bit chilly so that people aren't too comfortable and fall asleep. You got to make sure.
Heat. Yeah.
Exactly. You got to make sure people sit together. Okay. What's going to happen? A lot of people, they'll, yeah, go ahead, sit wherever you want. No, don't do that. Because when people sit together, they laugh harder and they'll enjoy the show more. That's the way you do that. By the way, there's a method to that too. They say, oh, I'd like to sit in the back. No, I'm sorry. We're not going to seat the back unless we fill up.
Yeah.
And if they're really tough, say, listen, I promise you, if you sit with people, you're going to enjoy the show more. And once in a while you get some almost never do people resist after that. And then so you seat people together, make sure that the lighting is only on the comedian and the audience is in the dark, because people feel more comfortable if they're anonymous. People laugh more when they're together, when they're sat side by side. If they're spread around the room, they're not going to laugh, not as much. But if they're together and the person next to them's laughing their ass off, they're going to laugh their ass off. So keep people together, keep the light off the audience, keep the temperature of the room, really good, and make sure there's a backdrop that's not distracting, so they're focused on the comedian, and make sure the sound that's, people don't realize, they think sound is only important for music, but it's very important for comedy. If you sound, if the treble is too low, or the high end is too low, I should say, it sounds like they're in a box. It sounds a little bit muffled. But if it's crisp and clear, and then you put just a tiny bit of reverb, not so much that it actually echoes, but just a tiny bit, it sounds like they're in a concert hall. If you can make that sound, then the audience reaction is way, 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 way better. And I'll give you an example. Even the littlest things, through trial and error, I learned this stuff. It was getting to be summertime, and we had a killer show. People were screaming, yelling, clapping. It was crazy. And the shows were like that all the time. But then it started to get hot, and we got an air conditioner. And so we turned on the air conditioner during the show. And all of a sudden I realized it was like half the reaction from the audience. Literally half. It was just as good a show. And so what I did was I turned off the air conditioning, and all of a sudden the audience started laughing like crazy again. But then when it got hot, they stopped laughing. So what do? It's basically that tiny hum from the air conditioner that they didn't even really notice was making them not laugh as much. It was this subconscious distraction for the audience. So what I did was, before the show, I cranked it and made it freezing. And so people would be like, "Oh my God, it's so fucking cold." Oh. And I'm like, "It's okay. It's okay. Trust me. It's just until the show starts. It's when the people come in here, the body heat's going to make it really hot." Right. And so once it filled up, it was still cold. But what I did was I turned it off at the beginning of the show. And when the MC got on stage, because you want the MC to kill it. So you don't want the hum of the air conditioner going. It's cool enough in the room for the MC and the first comedian. So you leave the air conditioner off. But after the first comedian, when the MC comes back up, crank the air again. And when the MC brings up the next comic, turn the air off. And so every time the MC went up, I cranked the air so that the room stayed cool enough where they're going to laugh, but they're not going to be distracted when the comedian goes up.
Right. Okay.
See what I'm saying? So these are, all important things that, a lot of people don't even think about. The comedy clubs don't even think about it, to be honest with you. A lot of comedy clubs don't even know how to run the room. And so that's why my rooms were so popular, because I made sure that the audience was primed, sitting, the lighting, the sound, everything was perfect. And so that they would love the show. It became the most popular show outside the comedy clubs for 6 to 8 years.
I'm glad we went over this, because I'll tell you, like, I've tried doing live events. I've tried getting friends up to live events. Never successful. Now, knowing all of this, as far as like how often to follow up, and also to confirm, like, you're reaching out to people who are in the area, like people you don't want to get people from across town. You want to get people who are really close, and it's drive, or
even if they're across town, you can still try, as long as it's within a half-hour drive. Right. If it's anything past a half hour, then it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But there are some diehard comedy fans who will do it. So, you never know. Believe me, you follow everything I told you right there, you're going to have a great show.
So then, as far as like doing those rooms, you do those for like 6 to 8 years?
Yeah. And then I started writing. Well, I started writing in 1995. I started writing screenplays, but I started writing plays, mini plays, and sketches and theater pieces. And I started doing a lot more theater. And like I said, I did the one-man show, which was really successful. I'm very happy about that. But I got into doing a lot of plays and stuff like that. And no, I got married and I had a son. And my wife at the time, we're divorced now, but we're friends. She kept saying, you can't keep going out late at night. You can't keep doing this. You can't, and I was like, babe, this is my bread and butter. This is how I'm making money. She goes, why don't you just make it a hobby? And she started, trying to get me to get a real job and stuff. And that was one of the reasons we separated, but we just grew apart. But that is when I stopped doing producing comedy shows.
And then I see you are executive producer of the Danny McDermott Show, the 2021. Can you tell us about that?
Okay, so during COVID, I was running rooms out here. I moved out here 9 years ago, and I started running a comedy room about 3 or 4 years ago at the Burbank Music Academy, and we did 5-camera shoot, and we gave the comedians the footage for free.
Oh wow!
And because I couldn't afford to pay them,
right?
But they, comedians love good footage. So what happened was I was producing these shows, and then COVID hit, and obviously I couldn't produce the shows anymore. And I found out, it was right when it was ramping up, and I realized my buddy called me in New York, a music producer friend of mine called me, and he was one of my mentors, and he goes, Danny, you got to come back. The airlines are going to shut down. You're not going to be able to see your son. And I was working in the office, and then all of a sudden they had us working from home, and then they laid us off. And so I was like, the day they laid me off, I threw a bunch of shit in my car and I drove all the way across the country, and I stayed in hotels and sanitized my hands and, did videos going across the country. And I made it across the country, I think in 6 days, because I didn't want to be away from my son. And I didn't even have a place to stay. So I'm driving, and I call one of my friends, Tom White, one of my oldest friends. And I'm like, Tom, I need a place to stay. He goes, oh, dude, I just moved to a new place, and I don't have any extra room. He goes, why don't you call my brother? And I go, Tom, I've only hung out with your brother twice, maybe 3 times. But I call his brother, Steve. He's a great guy. I didn't know him very well at all at the time. And he goes, yeah, I got an extra room in my house. You can stay for a couple of weeks. I was there a year. We became best friends. I was so grateful, and he wasn't charging me. I was still paying rent back here in LA. I should have just told my friends to move all my shit out and put it in storage. I paid a year of rent here. Yeah. And the landlord still loves me, but but while I was there, I was so grateful. And this is a lesson to anybody out there that's living with someone. Act like you're staying for free and be grateful to the person you're living with, because what that does is I started cleaning the house. I started mowing the lawn. Whenever he had, I helped him move 12 panels of fence and the posts. Jeez. And it was amazing. But hard labor I did with him, and I just offered, and I said, let's do it. You want to do it? Let's do it. And we did it, and it was amazing. It felt the sense of accomplishment I felt, after I did all this stuff, and he was grateful, and on the weekends I said, screw it, let me cook breakfast. I would cook all this eggs and bacon and bagels and, just amazing meals. And I got really good at cooking breakfast, actually. I developed my own recipes and everything. And we became best friends. The guy's incredibly talented. I found out he's a famous guitarist in that area. He won a $10,000 guitar in a contest, and and I think he got to hang out with Whitesnake when they came into town at their concert. He got to hang out backstage and stuff. And he's so funny, man. And we just, there was nowhere to go. We just did, we bought a cord of wood. We both split the money. We bought a cord of wood, and we just had a fire pit in the back, and we built a whole big thing for a dartboard to hold a dartboard up. And, you know, I bought a dartboard and we played darts, we played ping pong, we hung out. And when they started opening up a little, we'd go out, try to meet women, which there were none up there, by the way, in all of New York at our age. There was like, no, there was nothing. But, you know, we go out and drink, and I met people and introduced them to them, and they're still friends now. And I got to see my son as much as I wanted, which was great. So,
that's awesome.
But while I was there, the whole answer to the question is, while I was stuck in COVID, when I got laid off, so I had nothing to do. So I bought a GoPro, and I started filming stupid little things, and it turned into this. I developed this idea where this character had been in quarantine so long that he developed split personalities, and I called it Living in Corona. And all these characters you can look it up on YouTube. It's called Living in Corona. There's only like 6 episodes, and 3 of them are with the split personalities, but I put a lot of work into them. And the first one, I got into festivals and everything. I didn't enter the other 2, but after doing that, a producer, loved what I was doing. And one of the former writers of SNL, actually, I met on Facebook, and he loved them too. But they suggested I do a talk show. So I started doing the talk show, and I called up an old friend who was just a funny comedian that was, I made him my sidekick. And, you know, we went through some really bad shows and really good shows. And, you know, I interviewed all my celebrity friends, and there's like 38 episodes on YouTube. You can look it up, The Dan McDermott Show.
So let me ask, if you could, now looking back at your career, you've done a lot, you've accomplished a lot. If you could go back to yourself, a version of yourself in the 90s, you know, when you were still getting into this, what advice would you give yourself?
Only surround yourself with good human beings. And this isn't just for the entertainment business. This is for life. I don't care if you're broke, if you got nothing. If you start surrounding yourself with good human beings, your life is going to automatically get better. And don't be afraid to push the people away who are causing you drama, causing you problems, causing you anger, arguments, anything, any drama, anybody that's giving you drama, cut them out, push them away. It's not, I'm not saying you don't help people, but it's like what they say on an airplane. You put the oxygen mask on your face first before you do it to your child. You've got to help yourself first. And the way you do that is by surrounding yourself with good people and demanding integrity from your friends. And I'll tell you, you're going to meet people who are going to want to help you just because of that, no matter what industry you're in. And that's how I have my incredible team right now. I haven't even told you the whole team, but it's my special effects guy did World War Z with Brad Pitt. He did Dogma. He did this $35 million Jay and Silent Bob movie. My composer did all the music for The West Wing, Roseanne, Lipstick Jungle, Nashville. I mean, all my success this year, I attribute to surrounding yourself with good people. I always tell people it's 5 years of saying no to the wrong people. So that's what the advice I would give to myself as a young comedian, as a young actor, as a young person. That's the advice I give everybody listening.
And make sure nobody rolls their eyes at you when you're talking.
Those are the cancer. That's the cancer people. You know, those are the people who who are going to mess up your life. Those are you gotta. Okay, you want a good life? You can't have people who fuck it up. You know what I mean? You just can't. You know, I'm always helping people out, but my inner circle, I you know, and when you bring all good people together, dude, magic happens. Like last night, I brought in so many producers and film people, and I just invited them. is I knew they were all good people, and they all met great people. They all had a great time, and their life is better because of last night. And you make people's lives better when you do this.
And that is Season 2, Episode 25 of the Producers Lounge podcast. Thank you to my guest, Danny McDermott, for joining us. You can find out more about him by checking out the show notes and by visiting our website at greaterandgrander.com. Our intro and outro music today was Sweet Georgia Brown by Lachey Swing. Our episode still image is by Ricardo Tomas on Greater and Grander. You can stay up to date by following us on social media at the handle Greater Grander, all one word. Make sure to subscribe wherever fine podcasts are found, and also, if you like what we do, share this podcast with a friend group or community who you think will enjoy it. Join us next week for our Season 2 finale, and as always, keep producing dreams.